Good evening and welcome to Primetime News, coming to live and direct from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. I'm Bernadine Jai Singha. Let's now take a look at headlines.
We will not allow Sri Lanka to become a Chinese colony. Port City Bill challenges the sovereignty of Sri Lanka. Bar Association of Sri Lanka and a number of petitioners take the matter to the Supreme Court. Indian encroachments into Sri Lankan waters aggravate. Indian fishermen seek permission to use bottom trawling. Mother and daughter saved from drowning in Veli Oya Haldamulla. Father and son missing.
The auspicious time for planting saplings in line with the Sinhala and Tamil New Year will dawn tomorrow. In line with this tradition, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa donated a sapling to the Environment Ministry today.
The auspicious time for planting saplings has been fixed for 6:40 AM tomorrow. The main event surrounding this custom will be held at the residence of Environmental Minister Mahinda Amaravira in Angunugola Palace tomorrow. According to the Prime Minister's media division, the Prime Minister handed over a sapling to the Environment Minister at his Carlton residence today.
Main sponsor.
Cargills Online, delivering groceries on time, always.
The Ratarakina Janahada organization convened a media briefing at the Abhayarama temple today. Views were expressed regarding the Colombo Port City Economic Commission bill.
Apart from posing a threat to the country's sovereignty, this legislation aims at making our country a Chinese colony. We are not willing to allow Sri Lanka to become a Chinese colony. Once the port city is constructed, the entire western province will face challenges. We will then have to act according to their whims and fancies. 14 acts, including the Urban Development Authority Act, Colombo Municipal Council Ordinance, the Chamber of Commerce Ordinance, Town and Country Planning Ordinance, the Board of Investment Act, the Public Contracts Act and the Inland Revenue Act are not applicable to this. This is a clear indication that it would become a Chinese colony. The people of this country have appointed individuals to rule this country. These individuals have not been appointed or given the power to sell the country, lease it or formulate harmful policies. Since we have given power to these rulers to govern the country, they must reveal these matters to the public first instead of signing agreements discreetly. A case has been filed in the Supreme Court. This construction changes the Sri Lankan map. I believe it doesn't fall under the Western Province as well. That is the situation at present. Therefore, even if they act in a discreet fashion, ultimately they would have to act in line with the proper procedure. We filed the 15th case on this. We wish to tell President Gotabaya Rajapaksa that we handed over the country to him in a favourable state. Therefore, we would like to make a humble request for you to protect the country's resources. If there are certain individuals who are influencing you, we request you to remain careful of these individuals. That is our only request.
අනුගාමිකව ඉන්නවා නම් හේවට්ටෝ ඉන්නවා නම් ඔවුන්ගෙනුත් පොඩ්ඩක් පරිස්සම් වෙලා මේ රට රැකලා දෙන්න කියන එක තමයි අපේ එකම ඉල්ලීම. දැන් අපේ ජල තීරයෙන් හෙක්ටයාර්
We have lost 446 hectares of our water. That has become a land area now. Once a land area is filled in our waters, then it becomes a part of the country's landmass. The clauses in the constitution must be changed accordingly. But according to this act, 1,100 acres of land does not belong to our country. It does not fall under the purview of the municipal council as well. It doesn't fall under the western province as well. Once this bill is passed, taxes cannot be imposed on this land area. It doesn't fall under our ownership as well. That would become a Chinese colony. Foreigners can acquire that land and sell it. The government cannot levy tariffs on that. The Special Commission Economic will have to pay only 1% of its income to the government's consolidated fund. According to Section 72 of this bill, the regulations pertaining to this area will have to be gazetted by the President. They will not be brought to Parliament. The payment of salaries in this area will be made in foreign currency. These payments can be made in other foreign currencies such as the yuan. The Montevideo Convention was adopted in 1933. According to this convention, the 4 requirements to qualify as a state exists here. The first requirement is a stable population. People will live in that area. They will be paid salaries in yuan. If we purchase goods in that area, we must pay taxes for that. That is similar to paying taxes in a foreign state. The second requirement is a definite territory. There is a definite territory. A government or an administrative unit is another requisite. A government is not appointed by the people in that region, but there is an administrative body. It has the powers to enter into agreements with foreign states. They have the powers to do that. The Act has vested it with the powers. Therefore, the port city is a separate country. China had deceived our country's leaders and have been influencing the administration since 2010 and 2012. 2 US citizens are taking turns and are creating a country that is secure for their children and are looting our country's resources. We regretfully note that Gotabaya Rajapaksa is not taking any decision for the country. He is only acting as a puppet. Nowadays, the decisions are being made by Mr. 20%, that is Basil Rajapaksa. Gotabaya Rajapaksa is only a puppet of Basil Rajapaksa. If they do not stop selling off the country's resources, this country will turn into a graveyard, considering the tussle involving foreign nations and China. Who will bear responsibility for their lives?
චීනේ හැප්පෙනකොට මේ රටේ ඉතුරු වෙන්නේ මලමිනි කඳු විතරයි. කවුද ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ජීවිතවලට වග කියන්නේ?
The BASL, issuing a communique, stated that the Colombo Port City Economic Commission Bill threatens the sovereignty, parliamentary supremacy and the unitary status of Sri Lanka. The BASL points out that there is a lack of consultative process, transparency and sufficient time granted to stakeholders to examine the bill. The Executive Committee of the BASL accordingly requests the Government of Sri Lanka to defer further action on the bill until the views of all stakeholders, including the public, are sought and given due consideration.
Meanwhile, 2 petitions challenging the constitutionality of the Colombo Port City Economic Commission Bill were filed on behalf of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. Attorney-at-Law G.G. Arul Pragasam filed the petitions today on behalf of the President and the Secretary of the Bar Association. By this evening, about 15 petitioners had challenged the Colombo Port City Economic Commission Bill before the Supreme Court. Among the petitioners were Ranjit Madhum Bandara, representing the Samagi Janabala Vegaya, Vasanta Samarasinghe, representing the JVP, Bandula Chandrasekhara, representing the 43rd Battalion, Palita Range Bandara and Vajrabe Vardhana on behalf of the United National Party, Venerable Murutetwe Anandathera, the Centre for Policy Alternatives and its Executive Director Pakiyasothi Sarvanamutta, and Transparency International.
A citizen of the country has only 7 days to challenge this bill. These 7 days coincide with inauspicious time and the time in which traditions are scheduled to be carried out. It is to cover these days that the government included it on the order paper of Parliament on the 8th. What does this bill include? Through this gazette, the government is attempting to give away this port city to the Chinese and even give them the power to draft separate laws for the port city and govern the area according to their whims and fancies. They have disregarded constitutional powers. Legislations must be drafted according to the constitutional provisions. This gazette completely contravenes Article 83, read with Article 3 and 4 of the Constitution by violating the sovereignty.
The Supreme Court constituted a 5-member bench to consider the petitions filed challenging the constitutionality of the Colombo Port City Economic Commission Bill. The bench includes Chief Justice Jayanta Jayasuriya and Justices Bhuvanekalu Vihara, Priyanta Jayawardena, Murdu Fernando and Janak De Silva. The petitions will be taken up for consideration on the 19th of this month.
China has given a loan of $500 million to Sri Lanka today in accordance with the agreement signed recently. This coincides with the proposed legal framework pertaining to the Colombo Port City currently being challenged. China Development Bank is providing this loan as the second installment of the $1 billion loan agreed upon earlier. According to the Ministry of Finance, the loan, which will be repaid in 10 years, will be used for budgetary purposes. The Sri Lankan rupee made a record drop in depreciating further against the US dollar today amidst the $500 million loan from China. According to the exchange rate announced by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the selling price of $1 stands at 204 rupees and 62 cents. At the beginning of this year, the selling price of $1 was 189 rupees and 80 cents. The rupee has depreciated 7.8% against the US dollar over the past 3.5 months.
Meanwhile, newspapers reported that China's Defense Minister General Wei Feng will arrive in Sri Lanka later this month to hold bilateral discussions with government leaders and officials. However, speaking to Newsfirst, Chinese embassy in Sri Lanka said they have not been informed in this regard.
While several parties continue to raise cautions on whether the Colombo port city will become a Chinese colony, the challenges posed by Indian fishermen encroaching into Sri Lankan waters is aggravating daily. In the light of remarks made by Fisheries Minister Douglas Devananda on issuing permits for Indian fishermen to enter Sri Lankan waters, Indian fishermen are demanding that their trawlers must also be allowed to enter Sri Lankan waters.
Sri Lanka's Fisheries Minister Douglas Devananda has said that permits will be issued to Indian fishermen. Fishermen from India and Sri Lanka have been fishing in each other's waters for a long time. We must allow this to continue. If a permit can be purchased, shouldn't they allow trawlers in addition to normal boats to enter Sri Lankan waters?
On multiple occasions, News First exposed the encroachment of Indian fishermen into Sri Lankan waters with strong evidence. Indian fishermen adopt the bottom trawling fishing method, where a large net with heavy weights are dragged by two large trawlers, scooping up everything on the seafloor. The marine resources scooped up include targeted fish to centuries-old coral.
Since they
engage in fishing in several areas including Rameshwaram using the illegal bottom trawling method, the marine resources from those areas have declined. That is why they are fishing in our waters. A crew from Shakti TV had remained in the waters for about 11 or 12 hours by risking their lives and investigating this matter. Even we did not undertake such an attempt. Although we have held discussions extensively on Indian fishermen fishing in Sri Lankan waters, their investigations were able to prove such claims. Indian fishermen have said that they are being arrested in the seas of Kachativu. This is a testament to the fact that they are fishing in Sri Lankan waters. It is against such a backdrop that Fisheries Minister Douglas Devananda has said that licenses will be offered to fishermen.
The
encroachment of Sri Lankan fishermen in Sri Lankan waters has aggravated. During the Tamil Nadu elections, the politicians raised matters concerning the issues of Sri Lankan Tamils and their rights. After the war ended, the fishermen in the northern seas were given an opportunity to increase their livelihood. However, they are destroying our marine resources. Indian fishermen are looting our country's resources based on the instructions of their politicians and officials. Therefore, we wish to tell the Tamil Nadu politicians to avoid shedding fake tears. Do not adopt a two-faced policy.
Over 500,000 square kilometers of ocean territory, an exclusive economic zone that has attracted the attention of the entire world. Over 8 times the size of our land mass. The time has come for all Sri Lankans to stand up and defend what is ours. We must call it what it is.
The Sea of Sri Lanka.
A statement made by State Minister Didum Amunugama recently was broadly discussed on the political stage today. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa also commented on this statement.
I saw a responsible minister of the government saying that we need a leader like Hitler. I would like to request that minister and the general public of this country to turn to your history books and to look at what happened during the reign of Hitler. Mass murders were committed during the reign of Hitler. Race and religion were used to destroy human lives. People were killed using poisonous gases in gas chambers. People were destroyed and democracy was decimated. Frankly speaking, it was Hitler who began the Second World War. Now we in Sri Lanka, we must decide if we want more wars. Do we need mass murderers as leaders of our country? Do we need anti-democratic authoritarian as leaders of our nation? This country does not need a Hitler. It needs an exemplary leader who loves the country. I believe that we have a leader like that right now. There is a massive force that stands behind this president as well. When these people get the proper opportunity to implement the policy of our leader, when we look back in 4 years, we will be able to witness a massive change in this country. There is a difference between a strong leader and an authoritarian leader. There is a law that governs any country and a leader should act within that framework. The will of the people is made known through the democratic process. But there must be a suitable environment for a leader who is democratically elected to fulfill the promises he made to the people.
The daughter of consumer rights activist Asela Sampath, who was arrested based on a warrant obtained from court in 2019, convened a media briefing today.
I am proud of my father. That is because he has been imprisoned as a result of speaking on behalf of the injustices faced by the people. It was not because he was involved in sexual abuse, theft or attempting to loot resources. Today my father is consuming meals in prison even after speaking for the rights and the justice of the 22 million people of Sri Lanka. Instead of allowing our father to celebrate the New Year, the police arrested him in an inhumane manner and remanded him under false charges. Our family has been left helpless due to this. We are sad. My father spoke on behalf of you. Although Asela Sampath has been imprisoned, they have not restricted his views. There is a law in this country. We request for justice to be served upon him within the legal framework of this country.
Meanwhile, a proposal was presented to take legal action under the Penal Code regarding certain statements circulating on social media.
අලුත් පනතක් නෙමෙයි දැන් තියෙන දණ්ඩ නීති සංග්‍රහයටම තමයි සංශෝධනයක් ගෙනල්ලා.
It is not a new bill. It is done by bringing an amendment to the existing penal code. The truth is, there is freedom of speech in this constitution. We don't want to block this. However, we see false information being circulated on social media, even in a way that negatively affects reconciliation between nations. Such racist statements promote extremism and terrorism as well. It is only to punish such people that this penal code is being amended once again and not as a new bill to add certain clauses.
නැවතවරක් සංශෝධනය කරන්න නැත්නම් යම් දේවල් එකතු කරන්න අලුත් පනතක් හැටියට නෙමෙයි.
Professor G.L. Peris called on Venerable Ambugaswave Rahul Thero of the Rangiranambulu Raja Mahavihare today. Matters regarding the party's internal unity were discussed during his visit.
This is an alliance, and within an alliance, there are various views and opinions. Its members should discuss such matters and try their level best to reach a consensus. There are many challenges both locally and internationally. We must unite as one to overcome any challenge.
Meanwhile, former Member of Parliament Vajrabe Vartana revealed that a unanimous decision has been reached to appoint Ranil Wickremesinghe to the parliamentary seat secured by the UNP.
It is clear that the UNP has reached a unanimous decision to nominate the leader of the UNP, Ranil Wickremesinghe, for the parliamentary seat secured by the UNP. There is absolutely no debate regarding the matter, even those with different political views are of the opinion that Ranil Wickremesinghe should be the person who must be nominated to carry out this role. I believe this decision will materialize in a few months.
While political parties struggle to solve their internal issues, the problems of the people remain unresolved. Those suffering under the microfinance scheme staged a satyagraha in Hingaragoda for the 39th day today. They continue to plead the government to extract them from the microfinance trap in the way the government promised when they came into power.
The struggle launched by farmers of Valsapgala demanding a managed wild elephant reserve entered its 89th day today. Although the Hambantota managed wild elephant reserve has been gazetted, the regulations pertaining to the reserve are yet to be published. A group of clergymen visited the site of the Satyagraha today. The time has come for these farmers to return to their fields and recommence agricultural activities. We believe that the government should intervene into this matter immediately instead of dragging their feet over this matter. They must take the problems of farmers into account and resolve their problems by protecting their rights. The Satyagraha, launched by farmers of Mahyanganaya in solidarity with the farmers of Walsapugala, entered its 30th day today. We wish to remind the superiors that their children might not be in hunger. They might be enjoying these days. We challenge them to leave their homes after enjoying their holiday to the fullest. We will then respond to them on behalf of the people. They have launched a program under which allowances are being distributed in the country. Let us see how the people react to them. We are ready to awaken the people. We wish to remind that to the rulers of this country. This government rose to power using the support of Buddhist monks, but now the Buddhist monks may influence the downfall of this government. We wish to issue that warning at this moment. The Mahasangha is badly disturbed as a result of this. Meanwhile, the protest launched by farmers of Galgamur entered its 31st day today. The Satyagraha launched by farmers of Madhavachya demanding a scientific solution to the human-elephant conflict was held for the 20th day today as well.
A wild elephant attack on the Pusalavina village in Dehiyattakandia claimed the life of one person. The deceased, V.G. Prasanna, was a 30-year-old father of two. Prasanna was on his way back home after visiting a relative residing about a kilometer from his house. The body of the deceased was discovered by the villagers this morning. Villagers voiced their strong protest when wildlife officers visited the location. They pointed out that if steps are not taken to address the human-elephant conflict, many more lives will be lost.
A father and son who went for a swim in the Kalupahana in Haldumulla were reported missing.
4 members of the same family came to Badulla on holiday today. They are residents of Maharagama. On the way, the family had stopped for a swim in Valioya in Kalupahana, Haldumulla this afternoon. Our correspondent reported that while the mother had gone to a shop nearby, the other 3 members of the family had gone for a swim. The trio in the water were washed away by strong currents. Residents in the area intervened and were able to rescue the girl who was caught in the currents. But the 14-year-old son and 45-year-old father are still missing. A search operation is underway to locate the 2 missing individuals. Assistant Director of the Disaster Management Center in the Badulla district, EML Udayakumara, said that the assistance of the army will be sought to conduct the search operations. The Department of Meteorology warns that there could be showers exceeding 75 millimeters in the eastern, Uva, Polonnaruwa and Mullaitivu districts. The department also adds that showers or thunder showers will occur in many parts of the island during the evening or night. The department advised the general public to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporarily localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. Several buildings at the Katapota Kirimatiyava Sri Sumanasara Navodaya Mahavidyalaya and several houses in the vicinity were severely damaged yesterday due to heavy rainfall. The power supply in the area was also disrupted. Meanwhile, landslides were reported in several areas in Haliyala Badulla due to the heavy rainfall.
Farmers lament that their paddy fields are facing a threat of being destroyed after river water containing a mixture of seawater have begun to flow to their fields.
Farming is the main livelihood of the people in Veligama Matara. The fields of these farmers are under threat of being destroyed due to water mixed with seawater flowing from the Lamasuria Canal entering these fields for the past 50 years. The farmers point out that this situation arose after the destruction of the Thal Ambara estuary water control gate due to a flood in 1969. About 600 acres of paddy fields have become barren as a result of this. We began to face this issue after the Thal Ambara water gate broke down. The water from the Garandu lagoon is flowing into our fields. This is the reason for our fields to go barren. We can cultivate on all 114 acres here if there is proper irrigation. These fields have been going barren for the past 50 years. We have not gotten a proper solution to this. About 450 families of farmers depend on these fields. We do not want canals. Give us a permanent solution or at least a barrier with stones. Residents of 7 Gram Niladari divisions have been severely affected by the situation in the area. The villagers request for a stone barrier or an automatic water control gate to protect their paddy fields. There is about 650 acres of land in Gingas Vilayaya and Parahanateyaya that can be cultivated upon. If we get a solution to this issue, we can produce all the rice we need for the south of the country here. Salt water has flowed to about 400 acres of paddy lands. Therefore, we will not be able to cultivate on them during the Yalla season. We request the authorities to construct a stone barrier or an automatic water control gate.
We leave you tonight with some views expressed by former MP of the JVP Nalinda Jayatissa. With that, we wrap up Primetime News. I'm Bernadine Jayasinghe and the interpreter for tonight is Taraka. Good night. Take care.
The Epilogue.
Various groups in the government are convening meetings excluding the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and commenting about them to the media as well. We saw this taking place in the recent past. Ministers, state ministers and the heads of state authorities are the individuals involved in stirring controversies in the country. That is because there is mounting opposition against the government across the nation. Even the 6.9 million people who voted for the government are disturbed over their conduct. The remarks made by Gatame Thero to the chairman of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna GL Piris reflects the seriousness of this problem. The registrar of the Asgira chapter and Gatame Thero had voiced their concerns even during a meeting with SB Disanayaka. These are not matters that we have witnessed in the past. When massive opposition is mounting against the government, certain groups within them are holding discussions to save themselves. This is similar to mice jumping off a sinking ship. They might be discussing whether they should be jumping off alone, in groups, or to wait for some time. We wish to tell the people that those who should bear responsibility for this are holding discussions. Don't allow them to deceive you once again.